What's up everybody, Stock Picks by Tim here, and in this video I'm going to touch on Cleanspark, look at the chart action on both Cleanspark and Bitcoin, and we have a recent video featuring Matt Schultz, and I'll leave you guys the interview down below, as well as some links to some free crypto and stocks, and BlockFi's Crypto Rewards credit card. Now first off, let's roll the clip about the recent financing deal, and listen up guys, because Matt Schultz himself said that there's a disconnect in Cleanspark's stock price. Let's roll it.
We've been really clear with our shareholders that we see three levers in our capital management strategy. The first is securing the right kind of debt. The second is using the Bitcoin that we mine to benefit our shareholders, to use that for operational expenses as well as capital expenses. And then the third is to use equity. And we believe there's a big disconnect in our equity valuation. Comparing our share price to our actual enterprise value and the value of our company compared to our peers. So this particular opportunity to secure straight debt in an asset-backed type environment was the most favorable for our shareholders. And so when you look at strict asset-backed lending, it's really one of the more favorable instruments that are out there. Some of the other companies in the space have announced, much lower interest rates on debt instruments, but they happen to be convertible debt instruments. And what that means is that those notes can be converted into equity in the company's shares, which could be potentially a dilutive event to the shareholders. So we've decided that since there is such a big value disconnect, we're going to focus on keeping the equity tight, and we weren't interested in doing any kind of a convertible instrument.
Hope you guys are enjoying so far. Now before we look over the charts here, we're going to roll this next clip, and it mentions their immersion cooling in Georgia, and also their recent Lancium deal. Then towards the end, he goes into the recent partnership with SBS, or Sustainable Bitcoin Standard. Let's roll it.
We put out a couple of press releases over the past weeks that we've signed new expansion opportunities. I spent this entire week in Georgia. We've got our immersion cooling going live in Norcross, and that's been a huge expansion. But we also announced that we've got a 500 megawatt project with Lancium on renewable energy in Texas. And so there are capital obligations there. This is an extremely capital intensive business. So our partners are looking for opportunities to invest, whether, as an example, BlackRock launched a new exchange traded fund that focuses on Bitcoin mining yesterday. And one of the measuring criteria they use are companies that are environmentally friendly, that have a strong ESG initiative. So while we're measuring all of these potential expenses, it's important to kind of balance exactly what we're doing operationally. So we've got this 500 megawatt expansion in Texas. We're going to need to bring in additional capital, and we're currently pursuing debt for that. But this will be the first phase to begin that process, to continue to build out, complete the operations that we have. We've publicly announced we've got 24,000 miners active. We've got 20,000 more miners between ones that have arrived that are being deployed in immersion tanks and ones that are yet to be delivered. We still have a bit of a balance on those. So the idea is to clean up all of the capital structure, ensure that as we go forward, we make strategic investments in equipment as power comes online, so our investors aren't financing Bitcoin mining rigs that are 9 months or 12 months away from arriving. So that's really kind of the approach that we've had, just kind of the first step in effective capital management. There's a lot of companies that talk about, well, we're focusing on ESG, and what does that really mean? So we've been very open to the fact that for example, in College Park, Georgia, we're 95% non-carbon emitting power. We use nuclear. The new deal in Texas is primarily wind and solar. Sustainable Bitcoin Standard is actually creating a token to be able to quantify the percentage of carbon-based energy that's used to mine a Bitcoin. So, in line with my prior comments, BlackRock, Vanguard, some of these big hedge funds, ETFs, they're looking for companies that actually walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And so what Sustainable Bitcoin Standard really does is utilize a market-based approach to incentivizing Bitcoin miners to use clean energy. So we're honored to be a part of that, and we think it's going to be the first step in really cleaning up the public image of the Bitcoin mining space.
Alright guys, now before I go over Bitcoin and Cleanspark on the chart, I wanted to show you some recent news for Bitcoin in general. Now, first off, Brazil's Senate approves Bitcoin law to regulate cryptocurrencies, and I'll leave you guys the link below for this. But this is more progress for Bitcoin. Also, as I'm sure most of you know, another country adopts Bitcoin as legal tender. And this is actually one of the poorest countries in the world. So over the next few years, this could be a total game changer for this country. And I bet we will see many countries follow suit if things work out. So this adds to more and more buying pressure for Bitcoin, just like all the spot ETFs coming out, the 401ks that support Bitcoin, and this is just continuing in the right direction. Now here with Bitcoin, we're looking at since the beginning of this year, you'll see that there's this trend that continues, and we continue in a slow upward trend. I like to add in this zone. This for me is my accumulation zone. Specifically anytime it's under 40,000 or anytime it's in this channel, seems like a great time to add to it. However, as you can see here, we are in this kind of downward wedge pattern, so keep an eye on this pattern. We have hit the bottom point a few times. Top point, we have just kind of gotten in the range of it. I'm sure there are also traders watching this as well, so keep an eye on it. But lately we have been having trouble breaking that 40 and sticking with it and holding above 40. But I personally do see Bitcoin as a great time to add. And looking at Cleanspark here, you'll see that we have been in a continued downtrend, and we are still very near oversold. We were pretty heavily oversold, the most oversold we've been in months actually. It has since tried to recover, and it is trying to form this base around the $6.50 area. Be aware that with Cleanspark earnings is coming up, so there's definitely a lot of fear with this one. And before last earnings, we did come to this point of about $5.50. I certainly don't expect that, although the market is very irrational lately. And to me, if it goes down to this area, again, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, and you better believe I'll be adding. But that's basically all I got for you today, guys. Make sure you stick around. I will be covering Cleanspark's earnings. It is going to be coming out next week sometime. And until next time, take it easy.